Hello, 803, 802. Good morning. Welcome. Another day of remote learning. I've been out for some time in terms of the video meets, but of course, I've been posting the classroom assignments. I was just handling some family issues, but I'm back, ready to go. Let's get it. Let's get it. So we're still on the food system. All right, we're gonna do this straight through the rest of the year. Um, and so, of course, one of the things I want to make sure is that you check in for attendance as usual. Make sure you try to use your school email just the same. There's going to be some stuff that you need access to, and you're going to need that. The question that I want you to really think about throughout this instructional or the lesson itself is what are some of your eating habits? Do you eat with your hands, your spoon, fork, uh, spork? Do you like fruits, vegetables? Do you like juice? Do you like to eat outside in your living room, in your room, and so on? And these are the habits that we develop, whether we watch someone do it or someone is teaching us. The one I really want you to focus on is thinking about the food choices you make. What foods do you like to eat? Those are some habits right there. And so that's gonna be related to the extended essay response that you'll be writing, which I want by the end of class on Wednesday. So class starts at 9:40. I should get this essay in by 10:20. Right? It should be submitted by 20 for 8:03. For 8:02, of course, by 12:40. So which of the three articles is most persuasive in causing someone to change their eating habits and why? That would be your question. All right. So make sure before we even get into anything, this is the objective. Students will be able to write arguments and support it with relevant reasons and evidence. These above this, the five other bullet points, right? Those are how are some requirements of your essay, right? So you want to make sure you introduce claims, acknowledge, distinguish claims, and so on and so forth. Evidences using vocabulary word, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more. So make sure you think about writing strategies as you're reading. Always annotate, always think out loud. All right, speaking your thoughts as you read. I keep saying that to you also. Make sure that you do that. Now, requirements in writing an argument, right? When you're writing an argument, you have to have a stance and your reasons. Why are you making this stance, right? Is where your reasons come in. So for instance, I think school should open up September, or I think school should remain closed until we figure out you know the issues with the pandemic, or until we solve the pandemic. Those are stance, those are claims that I'm making, and my reasons, of course, might be to make sure that we're protecting the citizenry, make sure that we are sure so the students can be safe. Those are my reasons, right? So I make my stance, keeping school closed, and I make my reasons. I might say open up schools, and this is because learning must continue. So of course, either or, whatever side you're on, make sure that you tell your reasons, and it must make sense, right? Making sense or being logical requires you to follow the writing conventions, grammar, punctuation, spelling. I keep emphasizing that, and if I continue to see those things, of course, points are taken. So keep that in mind. Your grammar and punctuation, spelling must be on point, which means you have to reread your writing multiple times over and over again. Make sure that it's on point, make sure it's 100% accurate. Okay. That's how I write, and I expect you to be learning those things too, right? Everybody should be making sure that grammar, punctuation, spelling is right, no matter what the language you speak or write in. Three, you must acknowledge different points of views for the topic you are arguing about. Sorry. So that means if you have a stance, if you make a stance, right, you must also realize other people might have a different point of view of that argument. And so you have to recognize that, right? It's something that I always tell you all, that you're not the only one in the world. The world is not only about you, right? There are other people in this world who will be fighting against something that you are fighting to support. And if you can acknowledge their point of views, you will be more equipped to be able to defend your point of view, right? And also um to win against their own viewpoints, right? Because if I'm saying school should be open, you might say school should be closed. But the winner of that argument would be the person who presents um better evidence, right? So more relevant, accurate, believable, and sufficient evidence. Right? So if I have more evidence than you and we're presenting information to someone who controls whether or not school is open, who would be the victor, right? Me or you? And that depends on your evidence as well. But it depends on also the logic of your writing, right? And depends on how well you're acknowledging the viewpoint. If you're being rude about it, you might lose. If you're being respectful about it, chances are you might win. But it also requires you to have some relevant, accurate, believable, and sufficient evidence to support your point, to back up your point. So that way the controller sees your viewpoint, sees your claim, sees your argument, and consider it highly. Now, in order for you to also win that argument or prove your argument more logical, you also need to be using words that are not basic. And that comes down to when I'm telling you that words like good, bad, sad, happy, those words are okay, but they're not the best, right? So if you're gonna say sad, think about the vocabulary words that I've taught you all already, right? Like melancholy, gloomy, that's for sad. Or happy, right? You might say happy because someone feels good about a grade, and of course you could say fantastic. They're feeling euphoric, right? Those are words that you want to think about. Now you have the internet at your fingertips, right? Go onto Google, use the website rhymezones.com. You can find words that you might like. Rhymezone.com. That website gives you tons of definitions, synonyms, antonyms, all those different type of words to use. Now keep in mind though, if you get a word that you like, make sure that you read the definition of that word, because sometimes words might have certain definitions that may apply, but also have an additional application in some sense that might not fit the point you're trying to make. Perfect example is, a couple months back when I asked you all what the word assume mean in a following context, and you all thought it meant to make an opinion, to think about something without facts. While that is one definition, the other definition is to take on the role of. So the student assumed the role of a teacher for 5 minutes. See that right here? The student um, became the teacher for 5 minutes. So that's something you have to think about. And conclusion, right? Provide a conclusion that relates to your topic and shows your understanding of it. The conclusion is really your summing up what you have written about, and what should people get from it, right? What should people learn from it? You being able to show me some sort of learning, right, in your own essay shows that you yourself understand the assignment, and that's what you must think about. Okay, so when you write your extended response, you must have a stance, you must have your reasons, it must make sense, right? Grammar, punctuation, spelling are required there. You must recognize the different point of views, right, and acknowledge them. You must have relevant, accurate, believable, and sufficient evidence. Your vocabulary should not be basic, and you should have a conclusion, right? So let's get to the essay example. So let me show you the essay example. So keep let's look at the example. All right, so this is the example right here. I still stay with a group of frogs. We already know the story of the group of frogs, so I don't have to take my entire time reading it. Of course, you will have the link yourself and you may read the story itself. But of course, to sum it up, right? Group of frogs were traveling, few frogs fell in a pit. The other frogs at the top were saying no, stay in, don't jump, give up. And the frog didn't stop trying until he got out. Now, I wrote two messages for this one, and of course, messages was theme, right? One of the messages says, "Never underestimate the strength of yourself or others." A message two says, "Listen to your friends. Sometimes your words can be can be helpful." Now, the question is, which of the two messages above is more true according to the story, The Group of Frogs? And it says in your essay, be sure to do the following. Tell what lesson you chose, discuss what the lesson means and why you chose it, discuss two ways in how the lesson applies to the story. tell why someone might disagree with you, explain why your explanation is right, and be sure to use sufficient evidence and details to support your response. Well, this could just say tell why. All right. Okay. So, um, so this is the example, and I want you to really just take your time and read through this example and think, did I hit all the points that I needed to make? And of course, that's what I did. I have my introduction where I tell what lesson I chose and discuss what lesson means and why I chose it, and discuss two ways in how the lesson applies. So my first body paragraph and my second body paragraph discuss those ways. My third body paragraph is me saying this is why, discuss why someone would disagree with me and why I'm right. So of course, the third body paragraph is where I'm looking at disagreements, right? And so, whether or not I'm disagreed with or not, that paragraph is there. But I also make sure that I say I am right? After I tell that someone else would disagree with me, possibly. And I have my conclusion. So those are the points that I make right here. So when you get to your response, right, changing your eating habits, make sure that you read all the directions and questions before starting, right? You got to change your eating habits. Respond to the questions below in an essay format. Use the links to find the article to help with evidences, details. You may use other resources for accurate evidences as well. So, um, articles. So the article links are below. All right. So these are the article links. Article links are the link. Article links below. You must sign into your account to get them. So of course, Google Docs. That one is already available. Click on it, and it's already there. Now, Active Learn, the other two articles are on there, the ones that you were doing over the past week. When you click on Active Learn, right, you're simply gonna sign in, right? You sign with your Google account, right, and it should just take you there, right? So this is the article, one of the articles. You click on the other one and you do the same, all right? So what's it really in a Big Mac? The Omnivore's Dilemma intro. You got a Got Milk article. The question that you'll be answering is which two of the three articles are most persuasive in causing someone to change their eating habits? So of course, you pretty much will choose two of the articles, right? And see choose any two, see which one would be more persuasive in causing a person to change their eating habits. You have 5 points here. First one's to discuss how and where some people develop their eating habits. Discuss the reasons people may have positive and negative eating habits based on the articles you chose. Explain how your chosen article reading is more persuasive than the one article you did not choose. All right, so if you choose the first two articles, explain why those two is better than the third. Right, and explain why someone would disagree with you. That's pretty much it. Make sure you use evidence to support your response. Now the graphic organizer is here as well. You got introduction, and I make sure I put the questions in each boxes so that way you're able to answer them in that way. Now, if you feel like you don't need a graphic organizer, you may delete it and begin your writing here. Okay. That being said, you may start the assignment. All right. Like I said, depending on what I see, I might extend at the time, but if I feel like there's no time needed to extend, it won't be extended. That being said, good luck, and you can email me or email me the questions or concerns. All right. Talk to you soon.